Coach, I got you. You got me?
Got you, brother.
Awesome.
Okay. All right, guys. Good afternoon, everybody. Appreciate everybody being here. Certainly coming off of a Saturday. Really appreciate the way our guys came out and played hard. And proud of the way they got it done against our in-state and biggest rival. The fans were awesome. Great to have Autzen close it out that way for the seniors for the home schedule as well. And immediately got to refocus on our next opportunity. It was important to earn this opportunity. And now, again, preparations began immediately for our opponent this coming Friday. And that being said, questions.
Let's open it to questions. Let's see some hands. We'll start with AJ Jacobson from Rivals.
Coach, you had the opportunity to play this Utah team not too long ago. What are the biggest takeaways you take from that first matchup to carry over to this Friday?
They are a big, physical, disciplined football team that plays hard, plays with physicality, violence, very assignment conscious, technique and fundamentally sound, explosive players on special teams, offense and defense, create negative plays, issues in protection, just a really complete football team, excellent football team.
James Crapia, the Oregonian.
Mario, I wanted to get an update on a couple of guys. Obviously, Noah and Michael, who went down during the game. Keith, who missed the game again, and DJ Johnson, who missed the game. Just what was the latest, particularly on Noah and Michael?
Yeah, Noah, Michael, and DJ are all good to go for this week. Keith Braun, it'll be a game time decision. It's going to be close.
Eric Scopel, 247 Sports.
Coach, what does it say about your program and its direction when you're playing in these games now 3 straight years? You're playing for conference championships. You've won the past 2. We'll see what happens on Friday, but just the trajectory of this program to be in these every year.
Well, I think, again, credit to the players, credit to the coaches, because regardless whether it was a coordinator change, position coach change, new players and new roles, it validates all the things that we message, that we say. You know, we don't ever go out and proclaim an opportunity earned without earning it. And I think it's important to get to this part of the season when you're playing a meaningful football, championship football, that it validates a lot of hard work, and it also inspires guys to be more motivated and hungrier to continue accomplishing some really, some of our top goals that we start off the entire offseason with. So all this has been in play and in the works since January to get here and earn this opportunity to go out there and play our very best. So everyone in the program, everyone in the organization is looking forward to the challenge and the opportunity.
Miguel Tahaje from Endzoners.
Hey, hi, Coach. What is the message you give to your players leading up to this game with this big conference championship game, and how big of the role does your last matchup against Utah play in that message?
Well, we keep most of our messaging behind closed doors. It's pretty intense, and we get after it pretty good. But as the season went on, it's like a lot of teams that get to this point in time, I'm not sure the number. It's a very small number of teams that are actually playing this weekend and playing for a conference championship, both at the Group of 5 and the Power 5 level. And what you'll find is, like many teams, the strength of our team is the actual team itself, the resiliency, the togetherness, the ability to fight through adversity, to replace guys that have gone down with season-ending injuries and continue forging forward, to overcome some bad quarters of football and play really good quarters of football, and to just keep moving forward. So all that I think is really important to mention, because we do feel that is a strength of our team, and playing together and playing with really intense physicality, focus, and concentration is always going to play a big role in a game like this.
Matt Preen, 247 Sports.
Mario, I hope you're doing good. How is, just when you played an opponent just 2 weeks ago, the freshness of that, is that beneficial, even though the game maybe didn't end out the way you guys hoped it? Knowing schemes, knowing tendencies, that's not still fresh in your mind, even though you played just 2 weeks ago?
Well, I think as the year goes on, every week there's always, whether it be a fair amount or just a tinge of carryover from week to week as it relates to people playing you. I mean, sometimes it's drastically different, when you watch Oregon State, Washington State, and all the stunts and live movements that they have. That's different, but there's a significant amount of pressure, from Utah on first and second down, as well as third down. Some great exotic looks on third down that are hard. hard to block. So I think there's always carryover. There's always retention, but it is a brand new game with coaches that are working on both sides because everybody wants it, right? Everybody wants it and wants it bad. So there's always going to be something extra, right? There's going to be a wrinkle. There's going to be an adjustment. It's going to be a different look. There's going to be a different play, a scheme, whatever it may be. So the preparation, yeah, there's some, but you have to prepare for what you see. You have to probably spend a lot of time self-scouting to see how people have attacked you throughout the entire season, because whatever has hurt you is bound to show up in a championship game, right? Whatever has affected you and what you do and what is your staple is bound to show up. So all the combination of all those things are things that we prepare for, and we had a great day of practice today. So we're looking forward to tomorrow.
Zach Neal, Ducks Wire.
Coach, you said a few weeks ago that there was still a chance that Bennett Williams might return this season. We saw him without a walking boot or crutches this last week, and I'm wondering if there's an update there.
He's getting better. He won't be available for this game, but we do see him available for after this game. So he's been him. I mean, a lot of guys are looking really, really good. I wish off the top of my head I could remember. Got a lot of injuries this year. Guys have been out for a while, but we feel like there's a handful of guys that can play in about 3 weeks.
Julian Minenzon, KZI.
Mario, how important are guys like Kayvon? I know Johnny and Jalen won't play, but guys like that who have been through 2 of these Pac-12 championships now, from a locker room perspective for going into this one?
Well, the most important thing in the locker room is making sure that our very best players have our best week of practice, that challenge themselves, challenge your teammates to have their very best week of preparation. And then on game day, make sure that it's all poured into them, their execution, doing their job and doing it really, really well, right? It's a big difference in just doing it and doing it really, really well. So, I mean, championship football is there's a big gap between this and the next game, right? And so I think everyone around the country that has this opportunity coming up this weekend, they're going to find a way to bring out their very best. And certainly that relates to Kayvon, that relates to Jamal Hill, that relates to Stephen Jones. You name it, you can go right down the list. There are guys that have played in some big games and they get bigger. And right now, this is the biggest game we've played in because it's the next game. And it just so happens this next game is for the Pac-12 championship for 2 teams that have worked really hard to earn the opportunity. And really honored to be in this situation and extremely fired up for the opportunity.
Antoine Staley, the register guard.
Hey, Coach, I know you can't speak about specific players, but how has the recruiting process been just in turn all year, especially considering like you're playing for a conference championship and also you have national signing day, early period coming up as well?
Yeah, well, I think it was mentioned earlier. I think that we've shown that we're a consistent program, consistent in what we say that we're going to do, consistent in the way we validate our goals, consistent in the way our players are developing and going on to the NFL for some really, impressive accolades, Thorpe Award candidates, Nagurski candidates. We've had Outland winners, Morris Trophy winners. Those things they speak really loudly. It's not about, and we really believe that in substance. This is a program that's built on hard work, toughness, physicality, and doing it right. And when you do it right and you have the right people, those things become a reality. So recruiting continues to, the upward trajectory continues. We expect another strong finish in recruiting. We work at it relentlessly, and we have a lot of great young players as well. So and we're excited for the present time. We're excited for the future, proud of the past, but all eyes and every ounce of focus is really on this game and every ounce of preparation that goes into it.
Shane Hoffman, Daily Emerald.
I know you don't want to get into messaging too much. You talked about how kind of hard that plane ride back was, and then Barone talked about the practices that followed after Utah. What was that scene like? Are you giving them a message right then? Or are you kind of letting them sit in it as an unsaid thing and then just kind of attacking the practice? What was that like?
You just like we talked about before, just very real with it. When the exact timing was of delivery, I can't remember. We don't shoot from the hip. We're just very real. So we kept our normal schedule. the best way I can say it, just right between the eyes, man, you know, messaging that's real and truthful and honest. And I wish I had a better answer for you. I just, timeline wise, when and exact delivery, I can't think of at the moment. But we do keep very diligent files on all those things, because those are learning lessons. Those are teaching moments that, you know, you could lean on, you know, sometime later on. I know that I've leaned on several instances that I've, you know, or experiences at other places that somehow show up again as we go forward. So apologize for not having a great answer there, buddy.
Tyson Alger, I-5 corridor.
Hey Mario, that 2019 title game, that was like one of the first games that we really saw Kayvon completely take over a game. And I'm curious, like, what did you learn about him in that game, freshman Kayvon, and how does he take over a game differently now, evolved 2 years later in your guys' program than he did that year as a freshman?
Well, I think back then he didn't have the attention that he's getting now from offenses, right? Now you see a chip block. Now you see the line sorting that way. You see a back coming, and also, you know, tight ends and running back chips, which, you know, make it a little bit more difficult. But just he's just continued to grow, you know. And even though I think people always are concerned about statistics and sacks, I think if you watch him, the way he affects the quarterback is just as important than the sack itself. You know, forcing a ball out early, a quarterback hit, a pressure that now makes the other team slide the protection, account for him, change what they do depending on what hash they are, because they feel he might be to the field, he might be to the boundary, he might line up in the middle. Because he continues to grow from a football IQ standpoint, we do a lot more things with him. He's, you know, as good as it gets in the country, wants to always work hard, wants to win. And, you know, it's, as the games go on, you see more and more, you know, production from him in a lot of different ways. So, and it's time for him and it's time for the entire team to play our best football.
Jared Denny, Scoop Duck on 3.
Hey, Mario, one last injury question. I'm wondering if there's anything new on Keon Ware-Hudson, or if he's going to be available to come back at some point.
I don't know if he'll be available to come back for this game. I don't think he will.
James.
Both teams use a lot of tight ends, Mario, this past week, and then obviously Utah as well. But what do you see in how you guys defended the tight end sets, both on the ground and in the air? Obviously, they did a lot of boots and stuff with those guys this past week. And how can you better defend Keithy in particular and what he was able to do against you guys a couple weeks ago?
Sure. Well, we're not going to get into schematics, you know, on a call, but obviously that's what they do, and we've got to do a better job.
Jerry Thompson, Ducks Illustrated. Jerry, you're muted.
Yeah, Coach. Yeah, Coach. The offense of the passing game seemed to improve a lot. Oregon State versus Utah. Was that more of the Ducks improving or the opponent? How's that going to carry over to the next game?
Well, I think there's been steady improvement and some dips along the way throughout the season. How does it carry over? Different schemes. So game plans are different. I think the repetitions of a Chris Hudson, of a Dante Thornton, a Troy Franklin, Devin Williams, the tight ends, all of them getting reps with Anthony Brown on a consistent basis, I think that showed up. And I think that will continue to improve and show up. So there's just a ton of focus, like today, for example, a ton of focus on technique and fundamentals, because at this time of year, those things typically deteriorate and they show up. And I'm talking the simplicity of a stance of a receiver, his release, his escape, because if the timing's not there and that ball now is a little bit behind or in front, the receiver reaches, he tips it, well, it's a pick and it goes the other way. So I just think you're seeing repetitions take their course and resulting in the betterment of the offense in the passing game. Protection was certainly better. That's always a big part of it as well. So I think all those things combined made for a better passing day and continued improvement going forward.
Eric Scopel, 247 Sports.
Coach, I was wondering if you could give us an insight into the onside kick play, if you guys maybe could have been aligned differently, just anything you learned from that, and then just special teams in general, having been such a critical part of the Utah game down there, just how important making improvements there are going into this.
Yeah,
one.
We could have been aligned better and we could have reacted better too. Combination of both, you know, and they were both part of the game plan. So we got to do a better job. Don't blame the players, blame it on the coaches.
AJ Jacobson, Rivals.
Coach, Verone McKinley's having a big year. A lot of people are starting to call him the general. How fitting is that?
It's a good name for him. It really fits well. Make a great T-shirt. Guy's real. He's what you want, man. He's what you want. He's what you want as a team leader, a son, a player, teammate, future father. Like, some guys, he was raised right and he gets it. He's one of those guys, and just smart, physical, tough, resilient, relentless. Man, he's special dude playing at a high level, and certainly a critical part of this the success of the program.
Max Torres, Ducks Digest.
Coach, the linebacker core has taken a lot of hits this year. Obviously, a lot of new faces rotated in there. Wanted to ask you about Jackson LeDuc and kind of what it's taken for him to get to the point where he's at after getting injured and seeing some snaps in some really critical games down the stretch here.
Great football player and a great competitor, and just has had some unfortunate injuries since his arrival, and for him to recover as fast as he did, and he marked it on the calendar. And even though he said, Coach, I'm going to be a little bit ahead of schedule, and come my birthday, I'm going to be ready to be playing towards the end of the year, week 11. And he did that, practiced really well. Thought he had some good play last week as well. And just, when you've been away that long, you got to shake off the rust a little bit. I think he did that. I think he provided some valuable and physical reps for us. Smart, tough, excellent tackler. Got a huge future here at Oregon. So we're thrilled to have him back.
Matt.
Popo and Brandon are two guys that play positions that don't get a lot of, attention because of what their position holds. But just your thoughts on how well they've played this second half of the season. Dorless was really good against Oregon State. Popo had a career day against Utah, and just what you need out of those two guys this second time around against Utah.
Nothing but their very best. You got against an offensive line like that, a running game like that, a team that is that heavily invested in play action and then can drop back as good as anybody in the country. You have to have your best. Proud of those guys, the way they've played. They've thrown it around. They have fought through nicks and bumps and injuries. They've just kept coming. They have been invaluable in the improvement of our run defense, which has improved dramatically from last year to this year. So proud of them. I lean on them. I press them. I challenge them. I push them. I'm sure they're tired of me, but that's all right. The scout team, credit to the scout team too. Those guys really do a good job trying to get after them, and they get bounced around by those two big bodies, and they still keep coming and throwing it around in there. So all in all, just fired up and proud of those guys.
Shane Hoffman, Daily Emerald.
Yeah, you mentioned Jamal Hill a second ago. He was so big last year in the title game with those 2 interceptions. It seems like he's slowly getting back up to speed. Now he's taking over for Bennett. I'm just curious, an assessment of his play and what he's been like, as a leader as well in practice, now that you mention it.
Well, to give you an indication of the type of leadership he's demonstrated, his teammates wanted him to be on the leadership council. The members of the leadership council, I should say, wanted him on there along with Stephen Jones and Jordan Happel. And they were added last week. And it's because of time invested, his heart. He cares, super high care factor, phenomenal teammate, hard worker, excellent football player. And I think you're right. As the season's gone on, he's getting more and back. He's gotten into form and has played really well. And his best football is now in front of him. So he's had a great practice today. I know he's all over the field, so expecting him to have a great day.
James.
When you're in the 13th game in 14 weeks, Mario, and it's an opponent who plays the kind of style that they do, it's as physical and demanding a game as it is. What are you able to do in practice by way of emphasizing tackling? It's always an emphasis, but just in general, when you're going against the kind of team that they are, and particularly a running back like Thomas, who obviously was successful a couple of weeks ago, but is just a bigger guy. You haven't played a lot of running backs of his stature over the course of the season other than him. So just how are you able to emphasize the physicality when it's this late in the season?
Just like you said, mentioned right there, you got to emphasize the physicality. And since you can't tackle to the ground, like all teams around the country, we go thud, and thud's got to be real. You got to thud up a ball carrier. By that, it means that everything except going to the ground, So near leg, near shoulder, making sure that half placement is correct, shooting hands, wrapping up, and then making sure you're running your feet through contact, because their runners are contact plus 3 type guys. You see a lot of times there might be a collision 2 yards off the line of scrimmage, but it's 2nd and 5 or 2nd and 4 because they run their feet through contact, and they're big guys. Their O-line does a great job controlling the line of scrimmage, so there's no penetration. So they don't stop their feet. Those running backs are coming full head of steam before they break the plane of the line of scrimmage and get into the second level of your defense. That's when the issues happen. So if you don't practice it, if you don't practice with physicality, and we're on a short week, so there are some modifications to make sure that we get to the game as fresh as we can, but also prepared. But if you don't take care of the line of scrimmage, and if you don't play physical football, then you're playing right into your opponent's hands.
Tyson.
What's it mean for the Pac-12 to have Lincoln Riley join the conference?
I mean, that's, again, USC's hire. Congratulations to them. But all of our focus is completely on Utah and our game on Friday.
Matt?
Kind of along those lines. It's that time of the year now, Mario, where assistant coaches are being targeted for jobs, and fair enough, your name has been linked to other jobs for the last couple of weeks. Just your opportunity to talk about yourself, but more importantly, just how do you keep this team focused when there's distractions amplified because of just the nature of this type of year for the sport?
Well, I think it's the nature of the sport since forever, and I think the noise comes at 1,000,000 miles per hour, and you're just always upfront and honest with them. You always tell them exactly like it is. And if there's ever anything that does come up, you go to them and you tell them, and when there's nothing to report, you make sure you tell them there's nothing to report. So it's that simple. We got good coaches. We have a good staff. We've had success. Naturally, people are going to come and try to poach our people. I think it's a compliment. It's a pain in the neck because, year after year, you got to replace guys, but we're systematic. And we're systematic from a cultural standpoint as well. We do things a certain way. And when you come here to Oregon, you have to do things our way. We tweak schemes. We make adjustments. We make advances. We progress. But we do things a certain way. So for us and our players, they know us. We're honest with them, and there are no concerns.
AJ.
Coach, I know you cross-train a lot of your offensive linemen, but TJ Bass has slid out to tackle a lot this second half of the season, been extremely effective, both guard and tackle. What is it about his skill set that allows him to be so effective both inside and out?
Really athletic guy, really athletic at he's almost 6'6". He's about 320 pounds. You saw it in junior college. I mean, the guy was really impressive, really light on his feet, but heavy-handed. Played with a lot of power, really did. And now he was humongous. He'll probably hate me for saying it. He was like 360 pounds, so we had to trim him down. And all those guys come in here, 360, some up to 400 pounds. And, our place here is truly dedicated to the trenches. I know that's heavy talk at a lot of places, but when it comes to the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball here, it's real, always has been, and it shows, right? And the way guys are getting drafted and developing. TJ jumped into this regimen like full head of steam and attacked it. And what he demonstrated right away was, number one, super high football IQ. Secondly, tremendous power, and then balance and body control. So he could come off the ball and knock you back, but at the same time recover. He played tackle in junior college. Okay. So as smart as he was, as light on his feet, as athletic as he was, it was a natural progression for him to be able to get some reps outside as well whenever we felt certain matchups dictated that. So he did it. He's great, very patient with his hands, understands the timing, because the timing outside is very different than the timing inside. The spacing is very different as well. Special player, man, special player. And he just buckles up and goes to work every day. Not much talk, not much anything. He just wants to play hard, wants to work with his teammates, wants to win, wants to do the best he can by Oregon.
Ashley Adamson, Pac-12 Network.
Hey, Mario, just kind of on a personal note, I know you mentioned that you went back to see your mom. Just want to see how she's doing and sort of what the last 48 hours have been like for you personally.
She's fighting. And I appreciate everybody's thoughts and prayers that sent sent them my way. I wish I could respond to every single person, but I do appreciate it. She's fighting. That's the best way to say it. And that's exactly what I expected to see out of her. And we're going to go day by day. And for me, it's been focused. There's a lot of people, we depend on each other here, and I was raised that way. So when there's a job to do, then nothing can compromise that. And so that's the approach. And it's been really good and really focused.
James.
Kind of following that, Mario, you hit on it there. Yes, it's always so task oriented. And you're a man who is wired the way you are. How are you able to compartmentalize, or how have you been able to compartmentalize when there's obviously something so serious on a personal level going on, and what sitting on a plane for 10 hours is like amid all that, and it's being human. You can allow yourself to be human while also caring and being devoted to the job.
Okay, I think you're trying to get like my sentimental side out here. Okay, but I appreciate you, man. First of all, the jet's a lot faster than that. Okay, it got me there in 4 flat, and the headwinds made it 5 on the way back. So give Oregon air travel a little more credit than that. Okay, we play checkers there. I'm sorry, we play chess while others play checkers with that. But no, I appreciate you saying that. I think it goes back to, it's exactly what we tell our players. It's like, we train a certain way, so when things happen, you respond a certain way. I appreciate your question. I just had, my father, may he rest in peace, and my mom, who is fighting, they just raised my brother and I a certain way. They really did. Like, if she was able to tell me, she would have told me, you better turn that plane around and get right back to work. Don't waste any time here. That's how it is. And I respect that. I do 100%. I still, at 51, make sure I do exactly what is expected to me by how I was raised. So that's where it comes into play. And I think that's a good human trait. It's not trying to be tough guy. It's not trying to, shield everybody out, block them away. It's just being real, respectful of the way I was raised, and understanding exactly what is at stake, all the people that depend on each other. And it's right. It feels right. So it's all good, man. It's all good. And I appreciate everybody. I really, really, because people have reached out like relentlessly. It's hard to express the amount of appreciation, but I'm good and I'm ready.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time. Good luck this week.
Okay, guys. Thank you. You guys have a good day.